place into a Disneyland.
And a huge challenge it is. John, thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Behind the scenes in Pompeii, there's another remarkable structure that the regular visitors never get to see. Its survival gives us a snapshot of street life as the city died. It's a bakery with a restaurant behind, which looks like it could still be trading today.
So what's this, Antonio?
This is a bakery.
It's a bread shop, a bakery, isn't it? And what are the animals doing here?
These animals here would have worked the millstone. We are standing in the stable.
They worked the grindstones, we'll see in a minute. Okay.
Esatto.
And where are the people? Where's the baker?
We didn't find any human bodies in here. The inhabitants must have run for it. Interestingly, this door was locked, which indicates that they probably expected to return after the eruption.
So the guy just ran for it, slammed the door, and said, I'll come back later.
This is where the donkeys and mules worked. There would have been two wooden sticks tied to the animal's collar. They probably whipped the donkeys, who would in turn make the mill spin. The grain was poured in from the top and then ground into flour. Next, they would have taken the flour and headed over here to knead it with the water.
They bring it over here.
A wooden stick was mounted on a nail, which would then be turned to make the dough.
Okay, so they take the dough and then they make it into loaves?
Sì, si manipolava il pane, si dava adesso forma, dopodiché veniva portato.
After they shaped the bread, they brought them to the oven. As you can see, it is very similar to the ones that we use today to make pizzas.
Aha! And what's it taste like, this bread?
Io non l'ho mai mangiato.
I've never eaten it.
You're supposed to know these things, you're an archaeologist.
Sì, certo, una volta cotto il pane.
Once the bread was baked, it was brought to the wooden counter. You can still see the marks on the floor.
There's a wooden counter here.
I clienti che accorrono dalla strada.
The customers came in off the street.
Che non ha I soldi per pagare.
And this is interesting. It looks as if someone didn't have enough money to pay for his order. So the baker keeps a tally of the transaction on the wall.
Oh, wonderful. So they could sort of make a tab up and come back and pay the next day. Wonderful. And these are just figures, just
yes, they're numbers.
Money, numbers of coins or money or whatever.
We'll never know, but we do know that they are numbers, accounts of some kind.
Una cosa molto interessante.
This was not only a bakery. We also believe it might have been a restaurant.
Un locale di ristorazione, come ci mostra questo triclinio. Questo è un affresco famoso perché ha dato il nome a questo.
This is a very famous fresco because it gave the name to this site, the house of the chaste lovers. The two lovers are kissing each other. The kiss is passionate, yet chaste.
Ma casta. Avevamo da poco trovato nelle terme suburbane delle
We have found some pretty hardcore scenes in the suburban baths.
a 3, a 4.
Images of threesomes, foursomes, homosexual love. So, seeing this couple who just kiss, a kiss has never offended anyone. That's why we call it the house of the chaste lovers.
Nessuna latitudine, e allora casa dei casti amanti.
Unusual for a Roman fresco about love, isn't it? Normally one expects something more explicit.
Certo.
Now come with me into this little shop where the team are working, and we're going to come back and talk to Monica in a minute. But this shop would have been selling food and wine, and this is where the amphoras would have been kept up here with all the wine in it. And I just want to show you into this back room very quickly, so come with me. you can see that it would have been quite a nice room, this, with quite beautiful frescoed walls. And here is another bed. Getting a little bit blasé of the beds in Herculaneum here. There must be over 10, but it's crumbling away. And I think it's one of the projects the team are planning to do at some point soon. And over here, they're busy working and rescuing this fresco here, working behind there. And I can see this area. Hi, Monica again.
Hi.
I've joined Monica again. Talk to me about what's going on here.
Here you see it's an area similar to what we saw before, but it is even worse. It's just bulging out. And we have to fix it back and be sure that it doesn't fall down.
I mean, it looks like it's literally like a boil exploding out behind there.
Yeah.
So you're having to do the same work and fill it with volcanic material and lime.
Yes, it's the same.
And stabilize it.
But here we have another problem, is this area. You see, this is the paint layer which is flaking off.
Oh, yes, I can see.
So we
yes.
can lose the body in this case. It's a body there.
So this is here is a fresco behind here.
This is a fresco,
A
yes.
lost fresco that hasn't been seen for quite some years.
We have some pictures from the archive of the Superintendenza around 1957, and they show the scene is there. It's quite dirty already. So in order to do that, we have to soften these areas because we cannot push them back. And for that, we are trying to clean out this crust, this grey crust.
And I can see, I mean, it would be such a tragedy if this crust, if all this paint fell off, because there's a body under here, isn't there? You can see
Yes.
that. And I can see here that there's another body here. So this is an example of some work you've already done, is it?
Yes, we are trying to understand how to dissolve, to soften that layer, to push back those flaking of paint layer. And in the meanwhile, we are understanding how to clean it.
And how long will a whole area like this actually take you?
Oh, this is long. We are trying, and it is quite long. I think to clean it and to have it finished at least 4 months, 5 months.
Really? As
Yes,
long as that? For an
yes.
area like this?
Yes, I think.
Well, listen, good luck with the rest of your rescue work here.
Thank you.
Well, many of the items recovered in these villas all around here, across the street here, all these lovely houses, they really remind us of domestic items that we have 2,000 years later. It's quite extraordinary. And Andrew's been showing us around his storeroom to show more of these wonderful items.
These things are just ordinary household objects from Herculaneum, but I'm always amazed by the quality and the range of them. These are just examples of pottery lamps. This is the sun god Apollo. You can see the rays of light coming from his head. Over here, this is a rather special lamp, and it's got 2 nozzles for 2 wicks, 2 burners. It's got a little reflector at the back.
It's beautiful.
This is Jupiter, the king of the gods, and his eagle, his big symbol, underneath him.
So this is the pottery, domestic pottery, but I can also see there's so much bronze here.
Bronze covers the whole range of household goods. It can be completely practical stuff, like that's a water boiler.
So, like a kettle.
Just a big kettle, yes. It was important to them to have water because they like to have hot water in their wine, so it's good for a feast. Just as you get pottery lamps, you get bronze lamps. This is a really top-range lamp, and it's got a great big handle which is turning into a sort of sea monster. And in the beak of the sea monster there's this shell, so you can have a wick in here, 1 light burning there and 1 light burning down there.
The craftsmanship is just wonderful, isn't it?
Everyone was individually made.
I mean, even these little pots and pans.
This is particularly a good example. This is a sacrificial pan.
So how do you know that?
You see, it has a special shape with a boss in the middle. You put in a little flour and fruit and nuts, and you pour it onto the altar, onto the burning flame. And because it's so special, you treat the details. Here's a ram's head at the end, and where the handle joins the pan, you've got another little head.
And then look at these little figurines here.
These figurines are household gods. These are really precious objects. You put them in the little shrine, the little wooden shrine in your house. This one's Hercules. This is the god of the town. You can tell it's Hercules because he's got his big bushy beard. He's got his muscular torso. Over his left hand, he's got his lion skin. In the right hand, there would be the club.
Would they have prayed to these?
Yes. They make little offerings. That's why they need little sacrificial pans.
And then there's a stunning object here. What is that?
Oh, this is an extraordinary thing. That it's only just come out of restoration. It had been sitting in this storeroom all dirty for years. And they sent it off for restoration. What emerged was this wonderful inlay. You see there's a vine that runs around it with little silver leaves, silver tendrils, and golden bunches of grapes hanging down. We know that they called this sort of stuff Corinthian bronze because it had these special inlays, and we know they paid enormous prices at auction for it.
Well, I'm afraid there's anything like as elegant as that in my kitchen at home. It really is wonderful stuff. In our final part, in just a moment, we'll be looking at one of the most lovely things that they've just been able to reveal to us here, one of the recent discoveries that they've made here. And also in our final part, we look at what would happen to the millions of people around Naples and that terrifying mountain Vesuvius today if it erupted again in 2006.
We've seen what a devastating effect Vesuvius had on Pompeii and Herculaneum in AD 79. But it didn't stop there. The volcano has erupted many times since, most recently in 1944. So what's the likelihood of it erupting again right now? Peter has been finding out.
Just to remind us that this volcano is still active, Giuseppe Mastrolorenzo's showing me now a lava flow that happened as recently as 1944. Giuseppe, could Vesuvius erupt again?
Of course. We know that this is an active volcano, and the last eruption has occurred only about 60 years ago. And presently we have a lot of earthquakes and other phenomena which indicated that there is activity beneath the volcano.
How much warning do you expect to get of another eruption?
About a couple of weeks, at least a couple of weeks, but probably more.
Now that eruption of 79 AD, the one that destroyed Pompeii and Herculaneum down there, is that the worst it can ever be?
No, it's not, because there is a worst case which we have identified in the history of the volcano, an eruption which has occurred 4,000 years ago, which is capable to destroy all the area around Vesuvius, including Naples. In that case, about 3 million people will be at risk.
So, let's be clear about this. 4,000 years ago, this mountain erupted and destroyed an area as far as, almost as far as the eye can see, as far as Naples over there.
Everything.
If that happened again, then you say 3 million people will be at risk. How possible would it be to save them?
The people must be evacuated before the eruption, otherwise everybody will be killed.
Well, this is the Vesuvius Monitoring Center in Naples. This is the director, Dr. Giovanni Macedonio. Now, Giovanni, what's happening to Vesuvius right now?
Now Vesuvius is quiet. Just in this morning there was a very small earthquake.
Would we feel this kind of movement if we were there right now?
Nobody can feel this movement.
It's very small.
It's very small. The magnitude is 0.2 Richter scale. So
now, what is the likelihood of a big eruption on the scale of the one of 79 AD?
So it's very small probability.
Really?
Really.
Because one American professor only this year estimated that there's a 50% chance of that kind of eruption happening within 1 year. Could he be right, this guy? I mean,
no, he cannot erupt in the next year, for sure.
How do you know?
Because all the signals that we monitor 24 hours a day show us that there are no anomalies in these signals.
Well, for the sake of those people who live around that volcano, let's hope you're right. But just in case he's wrong, let's have a look at the traffic in Naples and the area around Vesuvius. It's extraordinary. It's absolute deadlock all the time. I mean, I can't